Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the frankly quite freezing digital tiny room. I am the very chilly host of the podcast, Michael, and I am joined by the man who has been described as having taken the warmth away from Irish podcasting. It's Benjamin.
I have taken the warmth away and I've kept it firmly with me all these months. It is currently about 25 degrees in Florence, Michael. It's sunny, it's balmy. The little courtyard to my left is filled with sunshine and dappled autumn light. It's
You're a
nice.
real son of a bitch. Ben, I don't know if you intentionally did that there, but what you've done is you've you've kind of paraphrased the song Last Christmas.
When I gave you my heart.
Yeah.
Ah.
This is unusually romantic. Do the theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will make some up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
That was so loud.
Listeners will have noticed that we actually stuck in Last Christmas by Wham there and not the original theme music.
No, Ben. Oh no! Now I have to do that. And now we're going to get copyright strikes.
Nah, never mind. I'm sure you can find a Muzak version or something like that.
Anyway, here we go. Benjamin.
Yeah.
As you are well aware, this week is a New York Comic Con.
An NYCC.
Yeah, and I think it was you who was saying previously that New York Comic Con has kind of low key, on the down low, kind of on the quiet, kind of replaced San Diego Comic Con as the main nerd event of the year.
That was possibly me or you.
No, it was neither of us, Ben. I was doing a conceit.
It was a conceit. Okay,
Yeah.
I stepped all over your bit. I'm sorry.
Well, look, it doesn't matter. But Ben, it is true there what you were saying there, that what I said, you said, that is largely true, isn't it, Ben?
Yes, it's largely true.
Because ever since Marvel kind of stepped away from San Diego Comic Con and started doing their own thing,
Yeah.
it lessened the power of San Diego Comic Con and let New York Comic Con kind of spring up.
Much to the chagrin of San Diego Comic Con, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't imagine they're too happy about it.
No, I'd say they're quite pissed off, to be honest.
Yeah, because now people save their reveals and their announcements and stuff for New York Comic Con as well, and kind of divide it out.
I mean, the good news here, Michael, is it's only a matter of time before Dublin Comic Con becomes the big news thingy, and we'll be able to go there and get all the scoops.
Woo!
Woo!
Benjamin,
yes.
let's talk about some of the news, why don't we?
Some news.
Some of the news. You're going to save some of the news for later because you're doing a thing.
Yeah, we've tasty news for later.
So we'll keep that. But let's talk about some of this stuff, Ben. Can I let you into a secret?
Go on.
Some of this stuff, I don't know if it's from New York Comic Con or it just came out this weekend.
I think it's probably from New York Comic Con. But you're also possibly right.
Well, let's bloody check, Ben.
Let's bloody check.
For me, the most interesting and exciting thing, and in a sense titillating, a kind of stimulating news.
You enjoy a bit of titillation.
Titillation. The most titillating and stimulating piece of news was the trailer for Daredevil Season 3.
Yes, it looks interesting. Perhaps a return to form for Daredevil.
Well, that's kind of the main point, isn't it? They put him back in the old uniform.
Yeah.
They've got a baddie.
They've got the baddie.
They've got the Daredevil baddie, Ben. Do you want to tell us who that is? The man throwing the things around the place. It's
bloody Bullseye, Michael.
It's only Bullseye, Ben.
That's not directly stated in the thing. It would seem that Kingpin has embarked on an attempt to besmirch our good lady Daredevil. He's going to ruin him. He's kitted Bullseye out in a costume that's awfully similar to the Daredevil horn suit. It looks like this guy seems to throw a lot of things. He's fond of a pistol.
He throws things with great accuracy.
He does. He seems to be awful accurate.
He's not Colin Farrell.
One could say that he almost always hits the mark or the bullseye.
Oh, very good.
Hence the name. But Bullseye's been introduced. I think it's going to be very interesting, Michael.
He very sinisterly, Ben, in the trailer. Ben, let's not speculate too much on what's going to happen.
Well, let's not.
But in the trailer, he very sinisterly says, "Hello, Karen." Whoa!
Ooh.
Bullseye has a history of killing Daredevil's girlfriends.
He does get around to that. Do you think Karen's time has come?
I think I think Karen might be refrigerated in this series.
Oh well. Karen wasn't that great. I don't like. No one should be refrigerated, but she was quite frankly becoming a little bit of an irritating character.
Karen Page from the comics was always a bit of an irritating character, wasn't she?
Yes.
She really went off the rails in the comic series.
Yeah, she wasn't great by the end there.
Benjamin.
Alas, poor Karen. I am looking forward to seeing the original Kingpin suit, though. That seems to be
so silky,
so silky smooth,
so smooth, so reflective, very shiny. Looks
very
quite
shiny
cheap.
Suit. Yeah, not really something you would expect a billionaire to be wearing. But you know,
but look, he's out for
revenge.
revenge.
For the Kingpin. Yeah, times are hard for the Kingpin.
He's out for revenge for Daredevil for shining up his suit. He looks like a suit that has been ironed too much.
Yeah. Yeah, one of your penny's finest that your ma forgot to turn the setting on the iron down for.
Ben, I do my own ironing.
Do you?
Yeah.
Oh, you're missing out, Michael. Mammy's doing best.
Ben, I don't. I just wear unironed shirts. Just like a real crinkly bastard.
Hi, my name is Ben, and with me, as always, is the co-host who has been called the crinkliest bastard in Irish podcasting. It's Michael.
Both of face and of suit. Yeah, Ben, so look, we'll probably watch that. Ben, do you think that this is in some degree an effort to kind of recalculate the course of the Netflix Marvel universe?
I think Defenders was a big litmus test for them, and I think they've realised that, people seem to like the slightly darker, more serious tone of the Netflix stuff, and I think we're correcting in that way. We don't necessarily want as much witty banter as Defenders tried to give us.
It's I think that, like we always said when they first announced those Netflix series, we thought we were going to get 13-hour Marvel movies on Netflix.
Yeah.
And that is not what they are.
No.
Now, though, Disney have said on their streaming service they're going to provide us that. With a Scarlet Witch and a Loki show.
The high end. Yeah. Is Tom Hiddleston returning as Loki? In his own show? Really?
Apparently.
Oh. I don't know if that's a good idea.
It could be a sequel. It could be a prequel.
But we're reaching peak saturation at this point.
Oh, every time there's a new movie, we say we're at peak saturation. Remember, in 2008, there was 2 movies. 2009, no movies. 2010, 1 movie. And then it up to 2 movies a year, and people said saturation. Then up to 3 movies a year, and people said saturation. Then it was like 3 movies and 2 TV shows a year, and people said saturation. And now it's 3 movies and 4 TV shows a year, and people say saturation.
Is it not a little bit different when you're taking characters that we all know and from the movies and just slapping them into their own little series because of sheer fan power?
Well, it depends, Ben, if it is because of sheer fan power or because someone thinks they have a good story to tell.
I think Loki is sheer fan power.
Yeah, well, that's why he's popular. But if someone feels they have a good story to tell, I mean, it might turn out good. Ben, you don't know. You don't know.
I don't know.
You don't know me.
I don't know you.
Yeah, you don't know.
Are you secretly writing the Loki show for Disney? Is that why you're so hurt?
That'd be great. Oh, Ben, speaking of secretly writing things, you know one of our favourite YouTube channels, Nando V Movies?
Yes.
Nando recently did a full rewrite of the Justice League movie, which in effect turned out to be, he just made up a Justice League movie. And listening to a slightly nerdy guy describing his version of a movie was better than the movie.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do believe he liked your comment on his little Instagram post as well.
Look, Instagram is what it is.
You must have been tickled pink, Michael.
Benjamin, Nando V Movies, despite how much we love him, is quite a minor figure in the world of YouTube movie critiquing.
We love him.
I think he has like 400 Instagram followers.
Oh, okay, so never mind then.
It's not a big thing. Ben, good bloke though. Seems like a nice bloke.
Seems like a nice guy.
Benjamin, speaking of things that were on as a thing, what did you think of the trailer for The Boys?
Ugh.
Tell us very briefly for people who are new to The Boys, what is it? Very briefly, Ben.
So,
the Benjamin Colby 20-second challenge.
Basically, in a world filled with superheroes who have become corrupt based on the thesis of Nietzsche, which is absolute power corrupts absolutely. They're run by a corporation. They're all corrupt. They're all awful. To deal with this saturation of overpowered individuals, the government has created a Suicide Squad style thing with basically a pack of superpowered dickheads that take down heroes that go too far.
Yeah, that's not too bad. That's
yeah,
pretty good.
And it's run by a saucy Englishman called Butcher. And it's written by our friend the cat, Garth Ennis.
Garth Ennis, when he's not just hanging around outside my house killing rats.
No, he wrote the first draft outside your house while killing rats.
Oh, get out of here, Ennis. Benjamin, did you like the promotional picture? Tell us what the connection there with Simon Pegg is, why don't you?
So Simon Pegg is the original inspiration. Simon Pegg is the inspiration for one of the, kind of the main character that the audience is introduced to The Boys through, a guy called Wee Huey.
Wee Huey.
And he's not into urine. It's a Scottish thing. It's Wee Huey.
I said it kind of Northern Ireland. I really
but that's okay. That's okay. I corrected. It's fine. But yeah, he was the original inspiration for this character. And so he's in that little promo picture as a nice tie-in, because it's not actually Simon Pegg playing him in the series by the looks of things.
No, he's playing his dad.
He's playing his dad because he's a bit old now, I suppose.
Yeah, because that makes a good degree of sense, because this would have been written 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
So Simon Pegg is
a wee while back.
Wee Huey. Ben, are you excited about it?
No, I gave up on the comic a long time ago. It was a very interesting conceit in the beginning. It was kind of a more logical Suicide Squad.
One of my favourite conceits.
Yeah, it was a great conceit. It was a nice little Who Watches the Watchmen. It's a pack of lads that wear black trench coats and kick the shit out of superheroes. The thing I liked the most was there was no fuss and no muss. It was, they went in, they slapped some people around. I believe the catchphrase of the main guy is "Let's go give them a spanking."
Very, very good.
Which was the catchphrase, and that was basically what they did. But it all got a bit mental in typical Garth Ennis fashion. There were orgies that were very detailed and drawn. Everyone was taking drugs. There was a couple of molestation scandals, a few rapes.
Without going into the main kind of spoiler, Ben, do you think they will use the same very controversial main conceit of the series?
I think it's going to get the Preacher treatment.
So it's going to be toned down.
That it's going to be toned down. But not in a bad way, because the Preacher series has remained consistently good from Prime. It's not up there every week. You don't hear about it every week. It's not breaking television, but it is delivering good television. Every season that comes out, it's still going strong. It's well acted still. It's nice to see, Garth Ennis' world with a bit of an update and, like that. The corporate angle looks to be interesting from the Boys, from the little promo that they showed. It's basically a TV ad for the company that creates superheroes.
Yeah. With what's her face?
You got to help me out there.
That lady, Elizabeth Shue.
Yeah. And I'm cautiously optimistic because it has you and I's favourite character actor in it, Michael. It only has bloody Carl Urban as Butcher. Carl
Urban. I'm really disappointed I didn't get to meet Carl Urban at Comic-Con this year.
Very disappointing for all involved. Very disappointing for all involved.
If Carl Urban really straddles the world of TV and movies, doesn't he? He's like, I'll do both. I don't care. I'm from New Zealand. Get out of my face.
Why not? He's a great actor. He deserves to be in all those things.
Yeah, get in it, Carl Urban.
Love a bit of Carl Urban. Speaking
of Elizabeth's shoes, Ben, I've invented a new drinking game for watching the TV show The Gifted.
Yes, go on.
That was a sublime segue. Someone, I assume the director of The Gifted has a high heel fetish.
Okay.
And the way you know this is every female character in the show is introduced foot first. Every time. Sometimes, not even just the character's first appearance, Ben. Sometimes, just at the beginning of the next scene, we start on their feet and pan up again.
Oh dear.
It is really quite noticeable. It started becoming noticeable with the Stepford Cuckoos in season 1.
Yes.
But now, it's almost every character, including sometimes some of the men. So that's the new drinking game around our house. Last year we had Dead or Boldy, but now we have take a drink every time you see a lingering shot of someone's high heels.
A flash of foot.
Yeah. So maybe Quentin Tarantino is involved, but I think he's more into bare feet.
He's a bare feet kind of guy. A bare feet and strangling kind of guy.
Yeah, he's big into kind of polar bears, grizzly bears. Sun bears. That's a little joke there about the fact that the word bear has two meanings.
You got us good.
It's them unexpected jokes that get the laughs. So Ben, look, The Gifted is back. It remains fine.
It remains fine.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Perfectly watchable, perfectly serviceable.
What else came out this week, Michael?
I don't know. Oh, we're moving on, are we? Okay. Ben.
Well, no, wait, did you want to come back and do some more?
No.
But it seems like
just traditionally I do the segues. That's just
sorry. Well, that's a bad omen.
Oh, very good, Ben. Go on, talk about good omens.
Speaking of omens,
that was shit.
That was awful. I'll leave you to do them from now on. Good Omens got its first trailer this week. Bloody David Tennant, bloody Michael Sheen, in the titular role of the adaptation of the Neil Gaiman and Terry Pratchett novel.
Ben, we've talked about this before. When we talked about it before, were we just talking about a still image?
We were talking about a couple of behind-the-scenes still images. And we were a little bit nervous, Michael, because we weren't sure if bloody Sky had gotten their hands on it again.
Oh, yeah.
And as we all know, all the Sky pieces are a bit of a damp squib.
Some people like them.
Some people.
Those people are wrong.
Those people are wrong. But that's not their fault, Michael. That's not their fault. They just have poor taste. So that's basically what's happened. But this one is being run by the boys and girls down at Prime.
Amazon Prime. Ben, they're really muscling in on the old streaming TV, aren't they?
They're scooping them up. And they're doing it under the radar as well. A lot of their stuff seems to be, because I didn't hear any news about the boys before that trailer dropped.
I think we knew it was coming.
Oh, did we?
I think we may have even talked about it before, Ben, but you just simply forgot.
I have to etch-a-sketch these out, Michael. I stick a lot of tropes in there every week, and to be honest, I have to make room for new tropes every week, so it just there's a bit of a spring cleaning every week in my mind. It's essential, really, to keep the podcast running fluidly.
I haven't seen the trailer for Good Omens. Do you think it is a good omen?
Yeah, so we seem to be moving away from some of the tweer elements of Good Omens, which I think is a good thing, and focusing very heavily on the friendship between the demon and the angel, who are the central kind of characters. I don't think that's a bad move at all.
Right.
I think when it came to writing that particular novel, I would imagine that Neil Gaiman came up with the grander concepts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And Terry Pratchett added the humour.
Yes, I would imagine that's probably how it worked.
And what is traditional with Terry Pratchett, I'm a huge Terry Pratchett fan.
No, you're not. You're pretty average sized.
I gotcha. Some people think I'm huge, Michael. Very, very small people. But yeah, generally when Terry Pratchett does a bit of humor, it's very, I don't want to say twee because that takes away from it.
So basically you don't find Terry Pratchett funny is what you're saying?
No, I do find him funny, but I only find him funny in the context of his work.
I think you might be a little too close to your mic there, Ben.
I only find him funny in the context of his work.
Go on.
And his humor can be very kind of Monty Python-esque.
Right.
In that kind of odd British way. And
well, he is an odd British man from the 60s.
He was an odd British man from the 60s, so it fits in there, but it wouldn't fit well with a TV show, I don't think.
Unless it was Monty Python.
His humor is very, very rambly. And the conceit to make it a long-running TV show probably wouldn't work.
This is a long-running TV show, isn't it? Not a mini-series, for example.
It is a mini-series, but I think the problem with the Sky One Terry Pratchett's is they almost try too hard to mimic that humor almost exactly.
Right. But that humor is better off in a book.
It's better off in a book because of the amount of world building that goes into his books. It's an odd twee little world.
Stop saying twee. It's so negative.
Twee.
So you're saying it's a bad omen. You're saying you're not excited for this TV show.
No, I'm saying the series. I am excited for it because Neil Gaiman is the consultant on it, and I think they're taking his vision more than they're taking
LTPs.
Like, let's not forget Neil Gaiman is big TV money right now. He's
American Gods.
American Gods season 2 is coming out. That got a trailer as well. Looks good. Looks to be keeping going full steam ahead. The large Mexican man who plays the Irish leprechaun has perfected his accent by the sounds of things.
I don't know if he's Mexican.
He is Mexican.
Is he?
Yeah.
All right.
I will confidently say that.
All right.
With zero retractions.
Get my retractions theme tune ready for next week.
Yeah, get it ready for next week. It's coming. But yeah, I'm tentatively excited. I really enjoy David Tennant. He's one of my favourite English actors. And Michael Sheen's not too shabby. You did a wonderful Michael Sheen impression there before the podcast started.
I did, Ben, but I can't remember even how his voice sounds now.
You just did a series of little
Tony Blair.
Yeah.
But I can't remember how it goes.
Very Tony Blair. He's a Tony Blair angel.
He is. Benjamin.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that happened this week, of course, was the release of Venom.
Venom.
We are going to continue to call it Venom in kind of honor of the fact that they said symbiote.
Did they?
Well, they said symbiote in the trailer, and the internet bloody predictably lost its shit.
Gave them an element.
And then they either refilmed it or redubbed it, so now it's symbiote.
Yeah.
In the movie, even the lines of dialogue which were symbiote in the trailer are symbiote in the movie. They fixed that, Ben. Benjamin.
Yes.
We have something fun for you here.
Oh. Okay.
Benjamin, long time listener, first time contactor of the podcast. That's also not true because his daughter has featured on the podcast before. Dr. Cadwell. He has assumed. He's gone ahead and assumed.
Sorry.
He has gone ahead and assumed that you haven't seen Venom. Is that fair? Is that a fair assumption?
Look, we both know it's right, Michael. I live in a country where English isn't the first language, and Venom, to be fair, would be fairly low on the totem pole of films that could make it to the English cinema here.
Oh, really? Would it? Is it one of those artsy cinemas?
It is an artsy cinema, but it only goes for the big bucks Marvel winners usually to boost the sales. So that's hard
interesting.
To find.
Well, Ben, interestingly, here's the thing for you, right? Venom doing very well box office-ally.
Oh, but critically quite maligned.
Critically quite maligned, but box office-ally, it looks like it's going to break 80 million on its opening weekend.
Well, that's not a flop at all.
No, that's a good 30 million above projections.
I don't like it, though. Do you know why I don't like it?
Why don't you like it, Ben?
Because we're going to get a series of Sony Spider-Man villain
I know, it's no good.
Properties.
We're going to have to come up with some exclamation because, Ben, as you know, I like when we talk about the Fox movies to say, oh, for fuck's sake. So we're going to need something similar for Sony.
It's difficult to come up with.
You start working on that.
So no.
Sony? So no. That's not great.
No.
Benjamin. So, friend of the podcast, Dr. Cadwell, has gone ahead and assumed you haven't seen it. So he sent in a review for us, for you to read out. And he's included some words that he thinks you might have used.
Okay, this explains a lot.
Right,
this
Ben.
Explains a lot. So
now, hold on. I would like to add a further wrinkle.
Oh, there's a wrinkle. Okay.
Yeah, there's going to be a further wrinkle to this. I would like you, if possible, to read that out in what you think Dr. Cadwell's voice sounds like.
Oh, this is going to be okay.
Bearing in mind for the listeners that Ben has never met Dr. Cadwell.
Okay, so while not what you'd call a good film, it is a load of fun. I think as a 15-year-old, I'd have plots repeatedly throughout it. My Venom is the 93 to 95 amazing and spectacular Spidey era Venom, with an honourable mention to the animated series, and this ticked all the boxes for me. Slow to start, the loser Eddie achieved his uber self-actualization in an appropriately easy way. I love Tom Hardy's amping up of the beaten down loser. The CGI was grand, nothing special, but the eye lines always seemed off. Riz Ahmed and Jenny Slate were great, but Michelle Williams seems out of place. Hang on. The action scenes and the Venom banter made it special for me. Not as good as Homecoming or a lot of the MCU, but better than all the recent DC/DCU? Films. Better than The Predator, which broke my heart. I've not seen Bandai's 2015 Power Rangers, but it's probably better than that. Definitely stay for all the credits. And then you wrote, you'll need this for a bit.
Yeah. Ben, don't lift the curtain. Don't let people see behind the curtain. Ben, that has just reminded me. I wasn't sure why Dr. Cadwell had told us that it was better than Power Rangers, but that was our original ranking system on this podcast.
That was the whole reason we started the podcast. Better or worse than 2015's Bandai's Power Ranger?
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, it is better than 2015's Bandai's Saban's Power Rangers.
That's good.
It's a lot better. So, Ben, do you largely agree with that review, do you think?
Of the film I haven't seen, sure.
Yeah. Very good. Ben, it's the way I have been describing Venom for the last couple of weeks, or the last couple of days. It feels like ages since I saw it. It was last Wednesday. I have been describing it, Ben, as very nearly, almost good.
Very nearly almost good.
Very nearly almost good. Better than 2016's Saban's Power Rangers?
2016, I think. But
yeah, 2016 Saban's Power Rangers. 2015 Saban's Power Rangers. I think you might be too close to your mic again there, Ben.
Am I?
I am. Yeah,
I am.
You're getting a bit shouty.
Okay. Massive apologies to the listeners last week, by the way. I have been having consistent mic troubles here on my end because I'm a very loud, shouty man, and the mic is not built for loud, shouty men. It's built for consistently professional, able to sit in one place at a certain distance from the mic so as not to blare types of people, and I'm not one of them.
Yes, Ben. Let me tell you about Venom.
Okay.
What's good about Venom, Ben? Ask me that.
What's good about Venom, Ben?
What's good about Venom? That's a very good question, Ben. I'm glad you asked. The best thing about Venom, and the thing that makes Venom almost good, is Venom.
Okay, one would hope.
The monster, the Eddie Brock monster combination, the visuals of that monster, that's very good.
Okay.
But in a way, that's also the most heartbreaking thing about it.
Oh.
Because you're looking at it, and you're seeing this, I'd say it's probably about 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall monster.
Not too shabby.
Like, terrifyingly strong and also terrifyingly nimble.
And
you're seeing him fighting cops and gangsters, and the whole time you're thinking, I wish he was fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah, it'd be way more interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, because and this is kind of what Todd McFarlane always said about Venom. You just can't see how Spider-Man could beat him.
Yeah, well, he's too big and scary, and he doesn't usually beat him unless he kind of tricks him, isn't it? Like, he kind of usually relies on sonic sound or...
Well, you've got sonic sound, yeah, very good. You've got sonic sound or flamey fire. That also works.
Thank you for pointing out the conceit in my language there, Michael. Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, thank you. You've got sonic sound or flamey fire. He's pretty much allergic to everything, the Venom symbiote, but not in this movie. It's just fire and sound. But yeah, the whole time you're watching it thinking, wow, this could have been
great,
amazing. There's so much in it that is almost brilliant.
Almost brilliant.
It's like, the Venom symbiote looks great. The CGI is generally very good. And the idea of casting an actor as Eddie Brock was brilliant.
Like a real actor.
Like a real actor he's made character choices, and he's playing Eddie Brock as a character.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes feels like he's in the wrong movie.
Okay, he's a bit too fleshed out.
Everyone else is playing it kind of straight and typical. Like, Michelle Williams could not be more generic as the superhero love interest.
To be honest, I think Michelle Williams could not be more generic in general.
Leave Michelle Williams alone. Michelle Williams is a fine actress.
I think she's a very poor actress. I think she plays the same character again and again, and I'll never forget her. I'll never forgive her for breaking Ryan Gosling's heart in Blue Valentine. I won't do it.
Well, it's always back to the Gosling, isn't it?
Look, you have your good lady friend, and I have Ryan Gosling. I don't see why you have to judge my choices.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that then. That you can dig yourself out of that hole later if someone's listening to this podcast.
Someone's listening to this. She doesn't listen to the podcast. It's fine.
Oh, very good. Okay. Then so it was a great idea casting an actor. He emotes. He has tics, and he's if he were in a movie with, say, Tom Holland,
yes,
as Spider-Man, it would be a really interesting character because he's so different from the other heroes.
Yeah, because he's a human being at the end of the day.
But everything else about the movie is so generic. Unlike friend of the podcast, Dr. Cadwell, I didn't think Riz Ahmed was amazing. I thought his performance was good, but it was just a performance of a generic, immoral scientist.
Yeah, so not great then.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Then, Ben, the CG is great. Like, Venom looks amazing, and the action sequences...
Well, that's something.
Say what you will about if you're a fan of Venom using pseudopods or not.
Sorry, you'll have to explain that to me.
Tentacles that just pop out of his body.
Okay, yep, fair enough. Thank you.
He does that instead of webs swinging because there's no Spider-Man connection. So some people might not love that because I always thought that. Personally, Ben, I always saw that as more of a Carnage thing.
Yes, definitely.
And Venom was webbing, but they can't do it. But the Venom symbiote looks great, and the voice of the symbiote is pretty funny, and there are some kind of departures from the source material that some people may like and some people may not like.
Mm-hmm. For example?
For example, Ben, the symbiote has complete control. When it takes over Eddie, Eddie's basically a passenger.
Oh, interesting.
Eddie can talk to it and reason with it, but it's a lot like Upgrade in that sense.
Okay.
A lot like the twist of Upgrade, I suppose. But yeah, no Spider-Man is the real thing. The other thing is, every now and then it's almost a horror film.
And then it doesn't follow through necessarily 100%, maybe?
Well, he keeps biting people's heads off.
Okay, well, that's horror-y.
But it's completely bloodless, and we don't even see a corpse, a headless corpse.
Well, I suppose that's how you keep your rating, isn't it? That's
yeah. So, it's so infuriatingly close to good. No, it's not even. It's not even infuriatingly close to good. There's so much potential in it, but it's just not wasted. It's not realized. It has a lot of the great flaws of generic early 2000s superhero movies as well. The villain is a big grey evil version of the hero.
Is he very heroic? That's something that's.
He's pretty heroic by the end of it. Yeah, he's the problem with Venom, Ben, and we've talked about this in the We Are Venom episode. To really do Venom justice, you really need to have a Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man is Spider-Man, a second Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man contemplates not being Spider-Man, a third Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man is almost tempted to become evil by the black suit, and then a fourth Spider-Man movie where Spider-Man fights Venom, and then a fifth Spider-Man movie where Venom kind of comes around to the side of good. Not necessarily because he's good, but because there's a common enemy. Yeah,
there's a logical reason to do that.
Yeah. So this movie cuts out all the Spider-Man aspects of Venom, and just goes straight to that fifth movie. You know what I'm saying? Ben?
It's lacking some chutzpah. I get you.
The final fight scene, and this won't spoil too much, but the final fight scene is a fight between a big, gooey, black pseudopod alien and a slightly bigger, slightly gooier grey pseudopod alien at night in the dark.
Oh, that won't look good on camera, will it?
Well, I mean, it's just... Oh, come on, lads, come on, it's 2018!
Yeah, fair enough.
Come on, lads!
These are
mistakes from these are 2004 mistakes! Don't do the 2004 mistakes. It's 2018. Do new mistakes.
We're all up here in 2018. They all back there in 2014.
Yeah, as the Black Eyed Peas said, you're all 2008. We're all 3,000, and it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter what the Black Eyed Peas said. Also, Ben, final last criticism. But all this criticizing, remember, Ben, I still kind of more or less enjoyed it.
Yeah, that's good. That's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'd give it another watch even.
Well, that's as high a praise as I've seen Michael Leonard give on this podcast.
Oh, thanks, Ben. It's not though. Sometimes I'm very effusive with my praise about Infinity War.
Sometimes.
Benjamin, there's probably a good cut of that movie in there somewhere. You know what I mean? You could probably do a darker director's cut that would be better. Probably not necessarily still just flat out good, but better. Do you remember
the 23rd night of September?
The 21st night of September. Do you?
Not this time around. I think I was drinking quite heavily at the time.
Like Eddie Brock. Do you remember one of the many criticisms leveled at The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Was that the ending kind of stinger was spoiled in the trailer. The ending stinger was the battle with the Rhino.
Yes.
And the final shot of the entire movie was him hitting the Rhino with the trash can. Exactly the same thing happens in Venom.
Okay.
We see the vast majority of a lot of the most memorable stuff from the trailer happens in the last 2 minutes of the movie. It's very strange. I don't know why Sony don't learn lessons.
They never have.
And they're not going to, because this is going to make money.
Yeah, and that's all Sony cares about. It's making some money.
There'll probably be a sequel. Because it's making that dollar.
It's making that much dollar?
It's going to do well. It's going to do well. It will at least make its money back. Look, it's not horrible. It's just... they could have called it So Much Potential, the movie.
That's a shame. Because you and I are huge Venom fans.
Ben, I'm a big Venom fan. Well, am I? Am I a big Venom fan?
It's fair to say that we're stronger than average Venom fans, surely.
Ben, I am not a Venom fan. I am a fan of the story in which Spider-Man sheds himself of the black suit and it latches onto Eddie Brock and becomes his enemy.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of exactly that. I could take or leave Venom. I could take Lethal Protector, Maximum Carnage. All of those things do very little for me. You know what I'm saying, Ben? Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. I feel you, Michael. I feel
you.
Yeah.
So I suppose in a way that makes me not a great person to comment on this film because it isn't that story that I like.
No, but you are a good and excellent analyzer of storyline and plot.
Oh, thanks.
What
thanks,
makes
Ben.
a film fall on its ass quite
thanks,
often.
Ben. Look, it's going to do well. It's borderline worth seeing.
If it comes out here in any form, I'll probably nip along and take an El Gander.
Yeah, I mean, and the Venom voice is pretty easily to do, so that's going to be fun for a few.
Give us your best.
Just Eddie, hungry. That's pretty much it.
Is that like the majority of dialogue that's given to us?
No, he does develop. He develops the symbiote himself develops as a character and starts speaking more. And yeah,
that's
good.
You'd like to see that. I hear the banter between the pair of them is quite excellent. So we'll
it
see.
Depends on if you like banter or not.
I'm a banter fan. I enjoy the appropriate amount of banter.
There is some amusing banter, but the amusing banter definitely feels like it's in a different film to the Eddie Brock as a loser film.
Okay, fair enough.
Benjamin, let's move on and talk about other things.
Let's.
There's been lots of DC news.
Stacks of DC news, Michael, and it makes me tentatively excited.
Ben, I think the biggest piece of DC news was the first picture of Lobo from Season 2 of Krypton.
Yeah, Lobo's a big fan favourite. I don't know if that's the biggest piece of news to come out.
No, Ben, I was kind of belittling you.
You're being completely facetious there, Michael. I understand. So for anyone that doesn't know, Lobo is kind of a rip-off of Wolverine. He's a pastiche of the Wolverine character, the big, tough, heavy smoking, kind of rough and tumble character from the DC Universe. He's a bounty hunter. He can go toe-to-toe with Superman fairly easily. And he's oddly enough a fan favourite. He was the star character in a bunch of very graphic comics from the 90s, illustrated by Simon Beasley.
We talked about them before, didn't we?
We talked about them before. We've had a little mention.
I think we talked about them in a Christmas episode because he fought Santa Claus.
Yes, he killed Santa Claus. He didn't fight him. Pretty much took him off the face of the earth. So yeah, we've done that before. But anyway, that's not the big news to come out, Michael. I think one of the biggest things to come out was DC, as you know, is launching their own DC Universe streaming service.
I do know that.
They're very much trying to compete with the Marvels and the Netflixes and the Primes, and they're trying to get their foot in the door there. I don't know if it'll work. It seems to be a way for them to kind of produce all their own material that networks don't want. Mm-hmm. Which to me might be a decent business model if they do it well, but it seems like a lot of their pitches over the years that networks have been like, no, we don't want to do that. They've been like, well, it's still a good idea, so we're going to go do it. I think that's very much what's happening there. Not that it isn't producing things. Apparently, you and I were wrong about Titans. Titans' pilot episode has been quite popular with fans.
Yeah. I think what they've done there is shot themselves in the foot with the Fuck Batman trailer.
Yeah, the Fuck Batman trailer seems to be not as indicative as one would have thought of the overall tone.
Yeah. People who have seen it say quite good.
Yeah, and Starfire I think still is a bit naff, but could end up being an interesting character in terms of design and stuff like that. We're also definitely getting. Oh, I've completely forgotten the name of that squad.
Suicide Squad.
No. Robot
Birds
Man,
of Prey.
The robot. The one with the robot. Negative Man. And Doom Patrol. There we go. The Doom Patrol series is coming. That should be interesting. It looks like it's going to be a bit lighter, a bit wackier, kind of in the style of Legion.
Who's in that again? Who's in that who was unexpected?
It's Timothy Dalton is playing the Professor.
Yes, that's right.
In the wheelchair. He's called
Professor Xavier.
Dr. Magnus, I think. Dr. Magnus. The Doom Patrol is very much a pastiche of the X-Men.
Is it, though? Doesn't it predate the X-Men by a couple of months?
Well, apparently. But look. Sure, they all stole off each other back in the day, Michael. Who are we to say? Who are we to say these things?
Exactly.
Well, one of the interesting things that is coming out, and looks to be quite a departure for DC, is the Harley Quinn animated series. Speaking of people that pander to fans, nobody does it quite like DC. Deadpool was very much a breakout character for Marvel, and they seem to just pour tons of money into producing as much Deadpool content as possible. And that seemed to work out very well for them.
Although they did cancel the Deadpool animated series. With
and
Donald
that's
Glover.
interesting. That's actually directly mentioned in the trailer for the new Harley Quinn series.
Is it?
Yes, she says.
Benjamin, talking to your mic.
The Harley Quinn series is. Sorry, my head bobbles a lot when I talk.
You're a bubbly head.
The Harley Quinn series is very much her addressing the camera. The trailer is her addressing the camera and the audience, so it's very fourth wall breaking in the same way that Deadpool is. And she actually says, and unlike that Deadpool cartoon, this one is actually coming out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so she's, it's a little bit of that. But Harley Quinn could very much be seen as a parallel character to what happened in Marvel. She is this breakaway character for DC. People love her. She's broken up all her weird psychodependency issues on the Joker. Those are gone. They're not there anymore. She's very much her own character. Making huge strides. So it's going to be interesting to see that series. Very comedic in tone. Kaylee Kukuo, I never know how to say it. Kuoko is doing the voice, and Poison Ivy seems to be very much kind of a Daria character, like very cynical, very
that's interesting.
Throughout Harley Quinn's like really enthusiastic speech about action and comedy. Poison Ivy's like, they're going to hate it. And they're like, they're not going to hate it. They love this kind of thing. No, they usually hate this kind of thing. There's internet forum boards all over the place that say they hate this kind of thing. And so it's very meta, very, very self-referential. But most importantly, very light. Very, very light.
Ben,
yes.
pardon the interruption. Is
okay.
Kaylee Cuoco doing a New York accent, or is she doing a California Harley Quinn?
She's doing a New York Harley Quinn. By the sounds of things, she's giving it her best shot. I don't know how it's going to hold up. I mean, I'd be interested to see it. It looks very entertaining. The Harley Quinn series in the last couple of years have been very well written, and very much in the style of Deadpool, wacky and kind of off the wall. Like they are two very clear parallels of each other in terms of success and tone. And I'd be really interested to see how that comes out. But the big DC news to come out was the extended footage of the Aquaman.
Yes.
And first of all, Michael, first and foremost, he's only gone and worn the bloody classic Aquaman suit.
Yeah,
look
at
the
him.
Trailer. Looks great.
It's a very much. It's a kind of a come on, good lads, DC. Just give us the bloody costume.
Just give us the bloody costume. It's about
don't,
time.
Don't reinvent the wheel. The wheel was invented thousands of years ago. We already have the wheel.
We've lost Edgelord Aquaman, topless Edgelord Momoa man, and we've got full classic Aquaman armor. I'm on board for that. The other thing that...
Do you think that shot is from the beginning or the end of the film?
The end, coming towards the end. This is where I'd say it's the point where he accepts his responsibility as king and leader and gets to wear the armor. The extended footage is interesting. They give away quite a bit of the film by the looks of things.
Arguably too much, Benjamin.
Arguably too much. Nicole Kidman looks very interesting as Mammy. I'm enjoying the casting of his father as another man from kind of the Polynesian island region.
Yes, it's Django Fett.
It's Django Fett. It's bloody Django Fett. Looks good though.
What's his name? Tamura Morrison?
I wish I was able to tell you that.
I'm pretty confident about that. You don't need to check that.
I'm sure you're probably right. But yeah, I'm tentatively very much looking forward to seeing this. The other thing that the Aquaman trailer has shown us is that DC actually knows how to use color in their films.
Yeah.
The color palette of this film is explosive, which I'm also on tenterhooks to see. It's very bright, it's very light. The whole scene running through what looks to be a Greek village of some kind. A nice
Themyscira. Themyscira confirmed. Well done, Ben.
A Greek village of some kind is, I'm looking forward to seeing that. It's very light. There's a lot of banter between him and Mera.
Arguably too much banter.
Amber Heard seems to have learned how to act somewhere.
Come on now.
No. I'm comfortably saying that. So we'll see how that goes. I'm looking forward to it. Nicole Kidman, again, oddish choice. But the villain seems big and menacing. You got that absolutely epic Black Manta action.
The Black Manta costume, it's bizarre, isn't it, that they've gone so comic accurate with that lunacy.
And they've never done that before. And
yet they... Well, I suppose it's not bizarre for this film, because this film is obviously going, we're full doing the comic.
Yeah,
get out of my
superhero.
face.
It's time to see if we can turn this ship around. Nautical vocabulary intentional there.
But the eyeball laser effects from Black Manta are what we always wanted Cyclops to be.
Yeah, they seem to have just nailed that particular thing. The strange Iron Man henchmen are a bit weird, running through walls in full mech suits, but
running through walls in a mech suit is a way of showing how powerful you are. Just running through things, it shows that you're powerful and intimidating.
You don't need doors anymore.
Yeah, where we're going, we don't need doors.
I was just about to make that joke, Michael. Well
sorry,
played.
Sorry, Ben.
Well played. No, I'll allow it as long as one of us made it.
So come here.
Yes.
Dolph Lundgren is also in it.
He is. He's bloody Dolph Lundgren popped up out of nowhere there.
Yeah.
I love an old Dolph. Dolph's having a little mini comeback. He's going to be in Creed 2 as well. He's back. Yeah. Training the sun up.
In Aquaman?
No, in Creed 2.
Oh, yeah, okay. Ben,
2.
what do you think about this whole thing of releasing 5-minute trailers that basically summarize the film?
I think it's horseshit, Michael, but I think it's a way to get fanboys on side. I think DC is very much probably shitting a brick. I can't imagine that this isn't kind of the last ride of the OK Corral for them. They've lost their Superman, they've lost their Batman. The Justice League future...
Recent reports say Ben Affleck is back in.
Oh, for Christ's sake, Affleck, make up your mind.
Well,
are you depressed and mopey eating sandwiches, or are you going to do the fucking film? Like, make up your mind.
He's having a rough time, Ben.
He's having but so fucking fix up, look sharp. Like, enough of this fucking shit. Like, Michael, how are we supposed to run a podcast if they don't consistently decide to do something?
Produce content for us. Ben, I don't necessarily agree with you that this is their last hurrah, because they have the Harley Quinn movie.
Is there a
What's
Harley
it
Quinn
called?
movie?
Not a Harley Quinn movie. The
Wonder Woman.
No. Oh, well, Wonder Woman is coming out next year, actually. I forgot about that. 1984. Birds of Prey.
Oh.
They've cast Birds of Prey.
Oh, God. Who's in Birds of Prey?
Mary Elizabeth Winstead
Oh.
is Huntress.
That's a fan favourite. That's okay.
She's a fan favourite. I can't remember who they cast as Black Canary.
Right.
But I think she's black.
Okay.
So
well,
I
mean,
don't...
that's a bit on the nose, but we can,
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? Are they going to just call her Canary so that it's not racist?
I think what you might see there is very much a lot of humour where people are like Black Canary and just like, hey, I can say that, you can't, or stuff like that.
Ah, yeah, that might work.
I think there's going to be a lot of sideways glances from the other two, from Huntress and from Harley Quinn, where it's like, are we allowed to call her Black Canary? Is that okay? We're going to have a lot of that, I think.
Do you think they're going to be that? Do you think they're going to risk that? I don't know if they'll risk that.
If you're going to take your balls out and slap them on the table, take your balls out and slap them on the table, Michael. Like, this is just,
It's a film about ladies, Ben. They don't have any balls.
If you're, I'm not going to say that. It's crass. I was going to take that joke to its logical conclusion, but
very vulgar.
We're coming towards the end of the podcast, Michael. I'm
Ben,
going to bow out gracefully on that.
Do you have anything else to say about the DC's reveals at the show, or are we going to wrap it up?
Look, I think DC's trying to save its reputation. It's trying to make sure that this ship doesn't go all the way to the bottom. And I think they're just trying to, I can't blame them. Just do it right, guys. Just learn your lesson. You've flopped as hard as you're going to flop. Just, get on board. Yep. Get on board. I would be happy to see, because the 80s Wonder Woman looks very colourful as well. So I would like to see this Aquaman Wonder Woman tone take over as opposed to the Batman Superman tone take over. Obviously, that won't work for Batman as much.
Shazam!
Shazam as well. I mean, this colourful palette's just surging forward. Let's do it. Let's see. Come on, you've already tried everything else. Try and be fun. Try that. I mean, the thing for me, Michael, about that, and most interestingly, is DC was also always the more kind of wholesome family fun comic. That was always its thing in the early
Marvel
days.
was edgy and gritty.
Yeah, and that's always, when people think of the Golden Age, you don't think of your Captain America. You think of the Justice League in the Silver Age. That's who you go to in your brain. And this attitude has certainly worked out in the latest Justice League run, where it's all kind of wacky Silver Age twisting and turning, and it's panned out.
Can you still get comics in Italy, Ben?
I can't, I'm afraid, Michael.
That's
I
very
wish.
sad.
Yeah.
Back to digital.
Back to digital. It's not the same.
No, keep telling you that.
Anyway, Michael,
let's wrap it up.
Let's
Ben,
wrap it up.
Let's do a couple of announcements. First announcement, I think that I'm going to be at MCM Ireland Comic Con.
Well, I mean, fingers crossed.
I'm going to be there on Sunday.
I'm not.
Sunday No, you're not going to be there. You're in Italy. I might have a friend of the podcast Wanker, with me.
Yeah, Podcast Wanker.
We're going to film some interviews and meet some people. So if you are going to be around and about at MCN next Sunday, give us an old text or an Insta or a tweet, and we'll come and talk to you and maybe do an interview. And if you want to do that, you can do that. Or if you don't want to do that, you cannot do that. Whatever, it's up to you.
I mean, you nailed that, Michael. That was a beautiful way to just...
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Other news, Ben. For the last 2 weeks, Ben, I was a special guest on other friend of the podcast, Cron Crafts, YouTube channel. Ben, as you know, if you've been following our channel, you've seen that every year I go and do a thing at Comic-Con where we do car racing for charity.
You make little cars for charity.
We make little cars, little toy cars, and then we have a fun racing game with them, Ben.
Yes.
And a friend of the podcast, Cron, made a video about making those cars. And I'm in that video, Ben. So if you think that you would like to see more of me, but also my face... then you can watch that if you want. I have a lovely face.
I don't recommend that, listeners. I would steer clear. Take a look at Crom by all means, but avert your eyes when you have to look at Michael's face. It's not so good.
Ha! You can't do that, Ben, because we're both in the shot together. In your face.
I knew you'd figure out a way. I knew you wouldn't believe my two people can't be in the same camera angle spiel for long.
So Ben, do the rest of the wrap up there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, if you feel like going through your traditional channels to find us, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, and as always, an iTunes review a day makes Michael and Benjamin slightly happy and helps us get through ours. So please leave us comments telling us what you think of our stuff. If you feel very strongly about any of the issues raised in this program, for instance,
like Venom.
Are you all for Venom? Were you all against Venom? Did it spoil your childhood rendering of Venom? Do you think I did an excellent Dr. Cadwell impression? Just let us know down below in the comments.
To be honest, man, I think it sounded a lot like you.
Yeah, well, I've never met the man, Michael. To be honest,
that was the
conceit.
Bye.
Bye.